All right, Broncos country, looks like we are live, but you guys know the drill by now. We've got to let the stream breathe for just a second here. Make sure that everything is nice and stable all across the YouTube platform. Welcome in, Broncos country, to this Denver Broncos Syndicate live stream, or post-game show, I should say, as your Denver Broncos defeat the Kansas City Chiefs 20-13 at Arrowhead. We'll start off with the positive. The Denver Broncos defeat the Chiefs at Arrowhead for the first time since 2015. They sweep the Chiefs for the first time since 2014. That's the positive. Also, the Denver Broncos are now one step closer to the division title as well as the number one seed in the AFC. Let me go ahead and close this because I realize it is probably messing up the lighting in here. If the Chargers end up losing to the Texans, then the Denver Broncos are going to get the number one seed, or they're going to get the AFC West title. If the Broncos end up winning next week, they're going to get the number one seed. Also, if the Jets beat the Patriots, which probably isn't going to happen, if the Eagles beat the Bills and then the Colts beat the Jaguars, then the Denver Broncos can earn the number one seed this week. That's probably not a likely scenario. Denver's most likely going to have to play their starters next week, but regardless, man, this game was sloppy. It was ugly, but they don't ask you how you won. They ask you if you won, and that's what the Denver Broncos did today. We got G-Money in the house saying Merry Christmas to you as well as everybody else in Broncos country. Another positive is that the Denver Broncos finally broke their Christmas game curse. They lost to the Rams on Christmas Day in 2022. They lost to the Patriots on Christmas Eve in 2023. So getting that monkey off their back is definitely good. Turtle says divisional game, ugly win, but a win nonetheless. Absolutely. That is what matters at the end of the day. The Denver Broncos executed towards the end. They made the necessary plays to come away with the dub, but still, it was ugly. It was sloppy. The Denver Broncos played some really bad football on the defensive side of the ball, missed tackles, blown assignments, busted coverages, etc., etc. They couldn't get home. They couldn't generate a pass rush. They struggled to keep Chris Oladokun in the pocket. That was a big-time issue last week against Jacksonville that wasn't cleaned up in this game. Those are all cause for concern, quite frankly. But I feel like the Broncos did show the fight and the grit they needed to show at the end of the game. Bo Nix made enough plays to get the job done. The Broncos receivers were frustrating to watch. Courtland Sutton had 3 bad drops in this game, but they were able to grind out some nice long drives basically throughout the entire game. But at the end of the first half and into the second half, they were able to capitalize and finally get some of those drives in the end zone. Excuse me. How do you think Bo Nix did? Do you think our defense will get better? As far as Bo Nix, I thought he did just fine. He did enough to win this game, made the plays that he needed to make. Of course, I'm going to go through the film, and there will probably be some areas where I nitpick his performance, but overall, the initial eye test was good for Bo Nix. As far as the defense getting better, that's the big question in Broncos country right now. I don't know if the defense is going to get better. With the bad communication, the missed tackles, the blown zone assignments, the questionable play calling at times, there's a lot of stuff to clean up on that side of the ball and not a lot of time to clean it up. That is the big issue. Nix has to do better if he wants to get to the Super Bowl. We had wide receivers open and Sutton missing passes. There were a couple of throws that Bo missed, but there were also a couple of throws that he put on the money and his receivers let him down. So you cannot have that. The Sutton drop in the end zone was really a nice PBU. That hit jarred it loose. It was a nice play by the defender. But Sutton is the number one receiver on this team. If you are going to be an alpha receiver at the NFL level, you've got to fight through that contact and you've got to hold on to that pass. It was a perfect throw and one that Sutton needed to hold on to. It was a short weekend Thursday night game, and you got to be honest, man, that did play a part in things. It's hard to make adjustments. When you play on Thursday night, You only hold walkthroughs throughout the week. You cannot conduct a full-scale practice. So it's for that reason. Did the Nuggets lose? It just flipped over to the Nuggets game. Did they lose to the Timberwolves? They're interviewing Rudy Gobert right now. I don't know if the game just started or what. Oh, okay, it's only in the second quarter. We're good, and the Nuggets are still ahead. We are all good there. So sometimes when you're on a short week, man, it's hard to get the proper preparation when you're only doing walkthroughs, and that's kind of what happened with Denver in both of their Thursday night games. They played down to their competition against division opponents. Alter Ego says one and done in the playoffs. I'll be honest, if they play like they did today, they probably will go one and done in the playoffs. There's still plenty of time to fix it, especially if you win next week and get that number 1 seed. You've got that first round bye. That is another week to get this stuff fixed. If y'all don't play better, y'all won't go far. Agreed, which is why they need to play better. It's pretty much that simple. There was another Sutton drop that was also a Bover throw. I disagree with that one. That was one that Sutton needed to catch. I know what throw you're referring to. I understand some people will say that's an overthrow, but he was making a throw on the run. That needed to be caught. It's that simple. CJ said Seattle's winning it all. We'll see, man. Seattle is playing some good football. I'm not going to discredit them. They are playing some good football, but if Denver plays up to their potential, they could win it all. The problem is they haven't really played up to their potential recently. Jay Stud says Nix is a bust. If you think that Bo Nix was the problem today, I don't know what to tell you, quite frankly. How confident are you that we'll beat the Chargers? I'm pretty damn confident, especially because Bo Nix has been playing some good football recently. Hopefully the run game is a little bit better. Maybe we get lucky and J.K. Dobbins comes back for the game. Sean Payton was indicating this is kind of around the time where we could see J.K. Dobbins back. If not this week, then heading into the playoffs. It would be nice to get him back this week. So, yeah, man, I am confident that we can beat the Chargers. At the end of the day, if they play their best football, they will win. Y'all ain't beating Houston even at home. Houston is the one team I'm a little concerned about because the way that they play is not very akin to Denver's weaknesses. So I am concerned about that. We did already beat Houston, but it is hard to beat a team twice in the same season, and that Houston team is really, really good. This win was a sweep, but we got to be better offensively. I agree, especially in the run game. The run game was feast or famine in this one. RJ Harvey continues to struggle with vision, running into his blockers, bouncing runs to the outside unnecessarily. All of this stuff is a big problem. Jay Stud says we need to draft a quarterback. I can tell you right here, right now, that is never, ever, ever going to happen. I bet 700 on the Broncos winning. That was stressful. Ooh, man, I don't know if I'd ever gamble that much. That's crazy. Dylan says we need to clean up the penalties. Yes, we do, but by that same token, once again, a lot of these penalties were ticky-tack garbage calls that a lot of other teams in the NFL wouldn't get. I don't understand why people make this comparison. Tim Tebow couldn't throw a freaking football. It's very apparent that Bo Nix actually has arm talent, which is, I just don't get it, man. I really don't. Nix is a better passer than Tebow. So much so, he is 10 times the passer that Tim Tebow was. If anything, he's got that same clutch factor that Tim Tebow does, so maybe in that sense you could make the comparison, but in terms of physical talent, Bo Nix blows Tim Tebow out of the water. Do you think Bo kind of has an attitude? Sometimes they show him up close, he's getting pissed off. I don't think it's an attitude, he's just competitive. It's love for the game. It's demanding perfection. You know, you see the best quarterbacks in the NFL, they've got that same mentality. Tom Brady, hell, even Peyton Manning. That's a good thing, I would say. Nix mixed the playoffs his first 2 years when the Broncos haven't made the playoffs the last 10. What a bust, seriously. Srod says Broncos suck. Bo's a better passer, but they both usually wait until the fourth quarter to throw touchdowns. Is that really a bad thing, though? Throwing touchdowns in the fourth quarter when you're supposed to? That's not necessarily a bad thing. You guys won't do shit. We'll see, man. We will see. All we got to do is finalize drives. Agreed. You just got to finish. The Broncos went on long, sustained drives. They were moving the football all game long. They just couldn't really cash in until the second half. David says Sean Payton tries to get too cute. Sometimes he does, for sure. Oh, my internet just dropped. My apologies, guys. My internet had a little hiccup there. David says Sean Payton tries to get too cute. Yeah, sometimes he does, for sure, with the screen passes and the perimeter plays. But the complaints about Sean Payton's play calling, I think, are a little bit far-fetched from Broncos country. That's not the big issue with this offense. We can't move, or we can move the ball effectively. I'm assuming that's supposed to mean we can't because they haven't really done – well, they can move the ball effectively. That is true. But they just got to cash in. That's the thing. You just got to cash in. Bo carved up the Packers defense all game. He did. He showed that he's got the ability to do that. He really does. The refs still deriding the Chiefs. Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs only getting called for what, one penalty, and it was an offside call at the end of the game. You can't tell me there's not a bias toward the Chiefs right there. The pressure got to get better up the middle, especially on defense. Yeah, you got to get better getting more pressure up the middle, for sure. We need to capitalize with 6 instead of 3. Yes, absolutely. Excuse me. Nix is him. You get extra fan points because of your amazing Broncos hair. Man, it's glorious. Denver Broncos for life. Thank you, G-Money. Appreciate it. I mean, the play calls had a couple of annoying quirks overall, but I think play calling has been more than adequate. Sean Payton is a good play caller. He puts the Broncos in a good position. When you've got a running back that's got really bad vision, an offensive line that has had some ups and downs, and when you have a receiving core that's inconsistent catching the football, it's hard to execute on the offensive side of the ball. Now, defensively, I think the play calling could be a little bit better. Vance Joseph needs to make some more adjustments. Credit where it's due to the Broncos defense. They only allowed 1 touchdown on the day, but we saw a lot of blown assignments, missed tackles, so on, so forth. That's all stuff that needs to get cleaned up. Hey, Gage, I'm in the Philippines. Sorry for the late and possible already asked question. Did we clinch the number 1 seed? No, we did not. In order to clinch the number 1 seed this week, we need to have 3 things happen. The Jets need to beat the Patriots, which probably isn't going to happen. You need the Eagles to beat the Bills. Probably not going to happen, but certainly possible. And then you need old man Phillip Rivers and the Colts to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. If those things happen, the Denver Broncos will get the number 1 seed. Denver can win the division this week with the Chargers' loss to the Texans. I feel pretty confident about that. Bo gets pissed when Payton doesn't get him the plays on time. He does, and that's a understandable and annoying frustration there for Bo Nix. It really is. And where was our D-line with a big sack when we needed it? Bo's competitive, yes, but we've got offensive communication problems. That is a fair point, and that's something that should have been fixed by now, quite frankly. Our defense sucks now. I wouldn't say they suck. They just got to make adjustments. They've got to play better, and they're not making those adjustments. It's frustrating. You better pray y'all don't meet the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Eagles got to do some soul searching of their own, man. They're not playing championship caliber football right now. I'd worry more about your own team as opposed to talking crap here in this chat. I'm just saying, Jared. Manning used to be very well known for his expectations of perfection. They called him the sheriff. Exactly. I mean, there's those clips of him yelling at Jeff Saturday and yelling at Julius Thomas. Peyton Manning was exactly like that. He had that same mentality. It's got to be perfect every single snap. Just happy to finally win in Arrowhead. I think we all are, man. Get that monkey off our backs. Be able to finally say we swept the Chiefs. I know some people will put an asterisk on it, but it does feel good to finally be able to sweep the Kansas City Chiefs. Herkel says Broncos aren't going to do shit. A win is a win. Exactly. They don't ask you how you won. They ask you if you won. BK says our pass rush is a huge concern. I agree. I agree with that. They're not getting home. And worst of all, they're not keeping contain on the edge. They're doing a terrible job setting the edge and allowing these mobile quarterbacks to escape. That is a big, big, big problem. Sean Payton is saving play for the playoffs. He is very conservative. I don't know if it's that per se. I just thought the execution was just really, really bad. I could understand that argument. I definitely could, but I don't necessarily know if that's it. Why you Broncos look pale every year? I'm not sure what you're asking there, quite frankly. Are you a season ticket holder? It's always fun when you do the post games while still in the stadium. I'm not a season ticket holder. The wait list for that is like 8 years, but I do go to all the home games. I pay my way in each individual ticket. This is not a good defense right now. They've got to execute better. That is the number one thing. Communication and execution. Love all you Broncos haters. Keep that same energy when us frauds are deep in the playoffs. I can't wait until the Denver Broncos are being called the worst team to ever win a Super Bowl, or Bo Nix is being called the worst team to ever, or the worst quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl. I cannot wait for that, man. I really can't. Why do you think the defenses are blowing coverages? A lack of communication. That is the big thing. Everybody back there has to be on the same page. And having injuries back there with Brandon Jones certainly is an issue. Hufanga also got shaken up in this game. We'll have to check on that situation and make sure that he is all good. But it all starts with communication. If all 5 guys in the secondary aren't on the same page, then you are not going to have positive results. Our nose tackles got to get more pressure on the center. Yep, I agree with that. You've got to find a way to generate pressure up the middle to compensate for a lack of pressure on the edge. You've got to find a way to do it. Zach Allen's getting paid a shit ton of money, and he is doing his part, but I'd argue JFM, he's been disappointing these last few weeks. DJ Jones, Malcolm Roach, we've got to get more pressure up the middle. The defense hasn't been consistent since Brandon Jones went down. It was even before that. It hasn't been consistent since the Washington game when Cliff Kingsbury put out kind of a blueprint on how to beat this Denver Broncos defense. And Vance Joseph hasn't made the adjustments. And the Broncos, they just haven't made the fundamental changes that they need to make in terms of tackling and stuff like that. That all needs to be better. I'm dying of heat. Actually, it is a little bit stuffy in here in the hot box. I'm going to go ahead and open up this door a little bit. I can believe the Patriots are doing good. I'm assuming you're meaning to say you can't believe it. I can. They've got really good coaching, and that's what matters at the end of the day. Coaching, coaching, coaching. Wonder if the cast on Benito's hand is slowed in. It's played a part. You can see that, but I think the bigger issue with Nick Benito is he's getting double teamed. He's not fighting through them. And yeah, it's just really, really tough when you're the guy who's basically the center of attention now on the defensive line. You're not going to get nearly as much production. Sutton don't know. Sean would trade him for a second or third fast. We just gave him that money. He had 2 games where his catches was a game changer. You got to think about it, right? Because Courtland Sutton, he's let you down in multiple situations this year. So that is something to think about for sure. Peyton Manning earned the right to yell at his guys. He did. And I'd argue Bo Nix has kind of earned that right too. He gets to demand perfection as well. Shut up and bear down. All right, fine. How about you shut up and get banned? A win is a win. Yep, a win is a win. Even if it's an ugly win, you still got the job done, and that's what matters. Oh, without a doubt, we're missing Brandon Jones. And having him back, well, we're not going to probably get him back, unfortunately, but when he was back there, there were a lot less of these communication errors and stuff like that. You just got to have all of your guys on the same page, and right now, Denver doesn't have all their guys on the same page. Our defense is still top 3, but we have to pick up someone in the draft or free agency for a safety. PJ is just not it. I mean, you've got Jones and Hufanga when they're healthy, but you got to shore up that depth a little more. And I'd argue Denver needs kind of a veteran player, maybe somebody who isn't quite a starter anymore, but could step in and play well in a rotational role, a veteran leader type safety, somebody like that. Toughest potential playoff matchup, I would say the Texans. The Bills are another one because Josh Allen. Those are the two that immediately come to mind for me. Our edge is over pursuing. Seems like this is a real constant. It is. We talked about that as a big key to victory. You had to find a way to set the edge and keep contained, and they have not done that for the last several weeks. Cooper's been really bad at it. Benito's been really bad at it. Dondre Tillman got washed out on one of those plays today. You cannot have that, man. You've got to find a way to set the edge and keep contained and not let these mobile quarterbacks out of the pocket. I know we're a bit of a ways away, but what are you looking at in terms of the draft? I mean, you're looking at all the premium positions, offensive line, wide receiver, quarterback. You're looking at all of those, maybe another pass rusher. That immediately comes to mind for your top 100 picks. Court's not getting us a second, probably not, and maybe even a third is far-fetched at this point. Duval, Super Bowl. You missed it, Light Switches. I was giving the Jaguars a lot of praise during our game stream. I like what the Jaguars are doing. I like what they're building. They're a very well-coached team. Liam Cohen has been able to get the best out of Trevor Lawrence. That's another team that I don't want to see in the playoffs, but I'm more confident going up against them a second time around. When you've got tape, you're able to correct some of these weaknesses that you had in the game. I feel a lot better going up against them that second time. This was a big letdown spot, and the Broncos drove down for a touchdown when they needed one. It was a good win. I've seen teams drop these kind of games. Absolutely. If the Broncos had lost, the energy here in the Mile High City would be a lot different. First of all, had they lost, you're not getting the number one seed, and you would play the Chargers for a win-in game for the division. So I'm glad that that didn't have to happen. The fact is, we won the game, and we can talk about correcting these issues, and we can talk about all of this stuff coming off of a win, which is always good. Not all Quartz drops were on him. A few of those balls were just out of reach. Bo is very streaky. The one where everyone was talking about that's out of reach, it was a little bit off, yes, but an elite receiver needs to make that play. You've got to help your quarterback out in that situation. PJ is not a long-term solution. We need to draft a safety. You could draft one, but for depth purposes, I'd rather sign a proven veteran that can step in, and we won't have these stupid communication errors in the secondary, or move Moss to safety. I can tell you one thing as well, just based on what I've heard from the team, Riley Moss is one of their most coveted players. They love him as a boundary corner, so he's not going to be moved. He's not going to be replaced, anything like that. We have 10 days, and the Chargers have to beat the Texans, so it's still close. Playoffs, baby. Absolutely. And we're still a playoff team. No matter what happens, we've already clinched the playoffs. So that's the most important thing. We are in the dance. And what matters, what you do, nothing matters before you go to the dance. All that matters is what you do once you get in the dance. Barely beat a team with a high school quarterback, but they still beat them. We need Justin Simmons. I know a lot of people in Broncos country want Justin Simmons. I understand the sentimental value, but you have to look at Justin Simmons' tape. He did not play well in his final year in Atlanta. The reason for that was his athleticism was zapped. I don't know if it's because of injury or just father time catching up with him. Justin Simmons doesn't have his legs anymore. So bringing him in would be more of a net negative for this defense as opposed to a net positive. Additionally, I believe I said corner, not quarterback right there in the draft, Max. I said I might not emphasize the M enough, cornerback. But back to Justin Simmons, no, I don't think he would make sense. And you got to think about this too. Vance Joseph went on a podcast early this season and talked about how Sean Payton had to make some tough decisions, eliminating individuals in the locker room who were a part of the team for a long time to bring in a winning culture. Because whether they intend to or not, sometimes these players are contributing to that losing culture. I think about Justin Simmons after being let go by Denver. He slandered the Broncos organization through information that he leaked to Sua Cravens. You think about all these reports that Sua Cravens was making, former Bronco, There was only one player on the defensive side of the ball that correlated between Sean Payton's time and Sua Craven's time in Denver. That's Justin Simmons. So I just don't think it makes sense, man. I know a lot of people want Justin here, but I just do not think that it makes sense. Be careful what you ask for. Go Jaguars. Hey, man, I've said it. Jacksonville's playing some good football right now, but beating a team twice is not easy. On a good note, I think Forsyth played well tonight. He did. He really did. Looked good in the run game, looked good as a pass protector. I was really, really, really impressed with Forsyth in this game. We need another linebacker and a wide receiver. Yep, I agree. Overrated. Bo made some bad throws. Let's be real. I agree. There were a couple of bad ones. The interception, that was just a bad throw. There was also a bad decision that he made on a read option play where he should have pulled it. I agree. But at the end of the day, we can't sit here and say, we should sit here and be honest and say that Courtland Sutton, he should have made those catches. An elite number one receiver needs to make those catches. No matter how that LA-Houston game goes, Chargers will for sure try to get a final impression on Denver before the playoffs. That is true, but if the Chargers get to a point where they can't advance their playoff seeding, they might consider sitting starters and not risking any injuries because that team has been beat to hell all season long. Their offensive line injury has been a big problem, so you have to think about balancing that if you're the Chargers. Good win. It was ugly, but we found a way to win. Chargers beat this team 16-13 in an even uglier game. That is true. That is definitely true. Don't sugarcoat anything. PJ is not it. They have some good kids in the draft. Bama has another nice safety in Ohio. Move Riley's slow ass to safety and cut PJ. Put our first round next to PS2. They like Barron as more of an inside guy, kind of a nickel and dime guy, as opposed to a boundary corner. I believe they envision Barron as taking over for Jaquan McMillan next season. They're probably going to let Jaquan move on and get paid somewhere else. That's their vision for Barron. And like I said earlier, they really do like Riley Moss as a boundary corner. So I don't think that they're going to make any move like that in terms of Riley. The draft might be the place they look for a safety. I'd still like to see them bring in some sort of veteran that can stabilize things in the event that we have another injury back there. Anyone who makes the NFL is not a bad player. It's called game tape. There's none on him. Absolutely. Referring to the Chiefs quarterback. What little tape there was, I will admit it was hard to evaluate because Andy Reid manufactured a lot of quick game completions, stuff like that. I knew the mobility was going to be a problem. We talked about it in the game preview, and Denver was not well prepared for it, in my opinion. We played great on 10 days rest earlier this season. Need a great game next Sunday. Go Broncos. You're back at home. You would expect them to bounce back and have a good game. That's what you would expect. Here come the salty Chiefs fans. Hey, man, let them be salty. They're going to Cabo. Let them be salty. I believe the Broncos can't win in the playoffs after having played to lose the game today. I said it once already. If the Broncos play like they did today in the playoffs, they're going to go one and done. But if they make the corrections and play up to their potential, this can be a Super Bowl team. I can't read. How does it feel getting swept by 2/3 of your division opponents, Kansas City? Seriously. I mean, the only team that you've beaten in the division so far is the Raiders. Come on, man. They are, man. They are salty. Simmons is probably toxic, and that's why he hasn't been called. I mean, I'm not going to say that for sure, but that's the way things sure look, man. There's a reason why Simmons is not signed. Just based on purely tape, I completely agree. There is a big reason why Justin Simmons has not been signed. We beat the Jags in the AFC Chip and got payback on the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. That'd be nice. That would be nice. Got a super chat. Let's go down here. Keep up the excellent work, brother. Broncos country is better with you in it. Merry Christmas. Thank you so much, Minister. Really, really appreciate it. Let's get back to where we were here. That's like calling a dog shit a cat shit just because the dog done ate the cat and shit it out in the cat box. No, fam, that's a cat shit. Okay. Don't know week 16 versus the Broncos with the Jaguars Super Bowl. Well, congrats to the Jags fans on your Super Bowl win. I don't understand the whole small market thing. I understand you're playing well. You're going up against a good team. It's hard to find bulletin board material, but still, I really don't understand that one. Broncos fans are devil worshippers. I mean, people say that I'm a devil worshiper and I have no soul because I'm a ginger. So whatever, man. I have no religious affiliation whatsoever. So yeah, whatever. Hello from Niger. Good to see you all the way across the pond. Some inside sources, BK, some people who I've spoken with that are very familiar with the inside workings of the building. We'll just leave it at that. If you take a look at the game stats, this was total domination of the Chiefs. I mean, Denver was moving the ball. They were going on long, sustained drives. They just shot themselves in the foot with penalties. They couldn't capitalize in the red zone until the second half, at least. And defensively, blown assignments, missed tackles. This is all stuff that's correctable. And like you said, they really did dominate the Chiefs. They just got to find a way to finish. It's that simple. Y'all still being mad about being 13-3 in December. We'll just never be happy this year. I get having high expectations, but enjoy the wins. Exactly. This is a good team, and I feel like there are a lot of people out there that aren't happy with this being a good team. There are people out there that are calling for the Broncos to fire Sean Payton, bench Bo Nix, all this garbage. I don't understand it. I really don't. Do you want to go back to the Nathaniel Hackett days? Do you want to go back to the Vic Fangio days? Because I sure as hell don't. And if we were to fire Sean Payton, that is exactly what would happen. Enjoy what we have. We have a good football team here in Denver. Do they have flaws? Yes, they do. But they're still a good team. And with how wide open the NFL is this year, this team can absolutely win a Super Bowl. We can upgrade during free agency and get rid of Moss. I'm all over the missed tackles and PIs. I will continue to maintain that 60% of the PIs that are called on Riley Moss are BS. The other 40 are because of sloppy technique, which needs to get cleaned up. But they're not going to move on from him. I am very, very, very firm and confident in saying that. Chargers sitting starters would be best case scenario. National media would have even more reason to doubt knockouts, and we play better as an underdog. That is true. This team does seem to play better when the back's against the wall, when they are underdogs. So that is something to look out for. We should have gotten the Jags running back when he was available. He definitely would have filled in when JK got hurt. Then there's the whole Dameon Pierce situation. He was inactive today for Kansas City, decided to sign with the Chiefs practice squad instead of the Broncos practice squad. You wonder if he had signed with Denver, would he have gotten playing time? I don't know. Fishy Fan says, let's go Broncos. You got to catch the ball every time it hits your hand as an NFL wide receiver. We shouldn't be dropping passes like we have all season and this late in the season for sure. Let's go Broncos and catch the ball. The ball placement could be better at times from Bo Nix. I acknowledge that, but like you said, if it hits them in the hands, they need to catch it, especially a guy like Courtland Sutton, who is the number one receiver on this team. If you're going to be a number one, you've got to make the play. If the team that played the Packers and Dobbins shows up in the playoffs, how far do they make it? They could go all the way to the Super Bowl. They really could. Let's run on them horses. Hashtag Broncos. Hashtag Bronco Larry. We need a bruiser at running back. Hope RJ can hold up without getting hurt. I still have questions long-term about RJ being the future of this team. We'll see if he can get better, but the vision is a long-term concern for me that he's got to improve quick. Just ignore those trolls. You do a great job. Thank you so much, Crumble. Got to be a DMAC listener saying weird stuff like that. Let me tell you what, man. DMAC gets a lot of crap, but he's a great dude. He really is. I've met him a couple of times, interacting with him at training camp. Also, a couple of years ago, I had an opportunity to go on 104.3 The Fan and do a radio show with Cecil Lammy, and I met with DMAC before that. Again, really good dude. Can't bash him personally, but he is a hot take artist. He is a professional troll, and Anybody who takes what D-Mac says seriously, I don't know what to tell you. David Montgomery might be available. I would be good with Demo. I really would. Bring Dobbins back, sign Demo, have Jaleel as a change of pace guy. I'd be all for that. Keep Harvey, hope he develops. Yeah, sure, why not? Broncos are doing what needs to be done, and that's winning. Absolutely. A win is a win, no matter what. I will never apologize for a win in the NFL. We will take the win however we can get it. No complaints. Absolutely. They're never going to ask you how you won. They're just going to ask you if you won. I'm done with Sutton, though. He always drops passes for years now. I understand the frustration with Sutton, and it's clear that he's not a true number one receiver at the NFL level. But Denver, they've made some attempts to try to upgrade the wide receiver position. They tried to sign Stephon Diggs as a free agent. They were in on the Jalen Waddle talks until it got too expensive. So, I don't know, man. We'll keep an eye on that over the course of this offseason. I wouldn't be surprised if Denver made some sort of big move at wide receiver. Let's put it that way. Sean Payton got more plays in the bag for the playoffs. I'd like to imagine so, man. I really would. Saving some of those big, explosive plays, some of those trickier plays for the playoffs, for sure. I'm a Riley Moss fan. That ought to piss off a few trolls. Yep, you're definitely going to trigger some people in Broncos country saying that. I'm also a Riley Moss fan, but there are just a lot of people out there that are not impressed with his game. Let's go Broncos. Patriots are waiting. I'm hoping we see the Patriots in the playoffs. I really am, because that's going to be a great litmus test for the Broncos. Refs are slower to throw flags in the playoffs, and especially PI penalties. Yeah, but Riley Moss just has a reputation with the league at this point. They're going to throw the most ticky-tack flags on him. It really sucks, but that's just the way that it is. We got the Bolts, but it's light work. I'm not going to say that. The Chargers are playing really good football right now. Denver's going to have to be on their P's and Q's and play their best football in this game. I miss Wolf. Yeah, Derek Wolf. He would have been fun on this team for sure. Too many drop passes this year. It's embarrassing. It is. And it's something that really needs to be cleaned up. Have there been any updates on JK's recovery? Any chance for divisional round activation? There is. There is a very strong chance of that, actually. So hopefully we get him back. Sean Payton indicated that there's a strong chance he returns for the playoffs. So, yeah, that'll be a big-time boost, I should say. RJ having 12 touchdowns is impressive in his rookie year. It is. And there are some things that RJ does really well. He's got great contact balance. He's hard to bring down. He's a threat in the open field with the ball in his hands. But as a pure runner, the vision is a big concern, and that is something we've got to get fixed. This defense gives up too many huge chunk plays. Josh Allen will kill us. That's the one matchup I'm really concerned about. That one and the Houston game. Those are two teams that could easily come into Denver and beat this Broncos team. I like to fire Bo Nix jawing at the Chiefs tonight. You love to see it, man. Bo Nix definitely has that fire, that competitive juice to him, so on and so forth. Please sign David Montgomery. Cousin will be on my team. I'd love to have David Montgomery here. I really, really would. Who goes farther, Broncos in the AFC or Seahawks in the NFC? I mean, they both have Super Bowl potential, honestly. I have to say right now the Broncos, but honestly, both of them could go far. They're both playing they both have Super Bowl potential. I'd say Seattle's playing better right now, but in terms of pure potential, I think Denver's got the upper hand there. Not everyone remembers if a team wins an ugly game, it's all about the Super Bowl. Hell, the Super Bowl 50 team, they won all kinds of ugly games. The whole season was just like this. So nobody remembers that. All they remember is winning the Super Bowl. I lost my dad yesterday, a major Broncos fan, and I'm a Raiders fan. I'm hoping the Broncos win the Super Bowl for him. My thoughts and condolences to you, Damien. Rest in peace to your father, and let's go Broncos, man. Let's win it for him. It seems like anybody can lock up Sutton on the field. The frustrating thing with Sutton is he makes these crazy catches, but drops routine ones. It's just super duper frustrating, and the inconsistency with Sutton, you've got to find a way to get that fixed. 2026 wide receiver class looks very good. Just need to beat the Chargers now. Love me some Riley Moss. Sorry for your loss, Damien. Yeah, that's really unfortunate, man. Thoughts and condolences to you. Good Lord, what is with these trolls today? Be easy, have to work early. Cheers, Turtle. Have a good one, man. Will Bryant and Greenlaw be back by the playoffs? Yep, things are looking that way. Otherwise, they would have placed them on injured reserve. What's your confidence level we beat the Chargers? I'm pretty confident. I am pretty confident. Hopefully, we get a miracle and the Jets beat the Patriots, the Eagles beat the Bills, and the Colts beat the Jaguars, and we don't have to play our starters in that game, but I don't expect that to happen. I think Denver's going to have to play their starters in the Chargers game, and I am confident they're going to step up and play a good football game. I stopped watching after Hufanga went down. Is he good? I don't know. We'll get an update on that in due time. That batted ball Benito had could have been a fumble. We didn't even go pick the ball up, but a batted ball backwards behind the ball is a live ball. Yeah, it is. So, I don't know, man. You probably could have picked that one up. I didn't see if it was I didn't see if it went backwards or not, so we'll have to see and look at that on the film. Good Lord, man. What is with these trolls? Seriously. Fuck you, dude. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, I got him. Crumble. Houston's defense is a problem, not going to lie. They are. They really are. I am concerned about that defense. Chargers are going to play like it's a playoff game. We need to step on the gas and not let up on anyone. Yep, I agree. I 100% agree. We're also going to play like it's a playoff game. I mean, in essence, it is a playoff game because you're trying to advance your seeding. Denver knows that, but I'm just kind of hoping that maybe we get a miracle and we don't have to play our starters in that game. The only thing that worries me about Sean Payton are the amount of really good regular season teams he's had with the Saints, and he was only able to win a Super Bowl in 2009 to 2010. All right, we got to think about this, though, that Sean Payton has been the victim of some really, really bad breaks in the playoffs. The Minneapolis Miracle in the 2017 season. The no call on that pass interference in the 2018 season. So Sean Payton had opportunities to win Super Bowls that, quite frankly, he just got flat robbed out of. So you got to take that stat with a grain of salt. I'm confident the Texans beat the Chargers Saturday. I am too. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Seriously, what is with these trolls? I'm a relatively new fan, but I enjoy your content as you're clearly a huge Denver fan, but remain relatively neutral. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you so much, Max. Really appreciate that. Hufanga looked fine. He walked off the field and Sean talked to him. He was holding his arm, though. I'm hoping maybe it was just like a stinger. Maybe he got hit in the funny bone and lost feeling in his arm, something like that. Greenlaw is a hell of a player, but as a Niners fan, he was always injured, but he's fast. Yeah, that's the one unfortunate thing with Greenlaw is the injuries. Why is there a ton of trolls in here now? That means your channel is growing. That is true. I noticed they're mostly coming from the mobile side on the vertical stream, so that's where they tend to come from most of the time. Yeah, Houston is definitely a Super Bowl contender. Houston, Denver, Rams, Seattle, Buffalo, those are the teams that immediately come to mind as like true Super Bowl contenders. NFL stays looking for ways to F Sean Payton. It's true, man. They do not like Sean Payton and kind of feels like they're just trying to punish him for Bountygate. Lizard King says Chargers are coming. Yeah, we got rid of that troll. Don't worry. It's some dude creating alternate accounts and spamming the same thing. Yep, and the more and more he continues to get in here, we're just going to keep banning his accounts. It's that simple. Broncos are our first round out. They've got to play better. It's that simple. Chris, he's most likely out for the season, unfortunately. For sure, he's out until at least the second playoff game, but indications are he's not going to play again this season. We got home field and we need it, honestly. Well, we don't have it secured yet. If the Broncos win next week, they will have it secured. or if some other stuff happens this week, they can secure it as well. One of those scenarios would be the Jets beating the Patriots. I don't see that happening, so Denver's going to have to win next week to lock up the number 1 seed. I'm not going to lie, that was an ugly win. We have to step it up. Yes, we do, but as I always say, an ugly win is still a win. Jags kicked the Chargers also. Duval, yeah, they did, man. I'm not going to try to do your chant and screw it up like Liam Cohen did, but yeah, man. The Jaguars are playing good football, and Chargers, they can be up and they can be down sometimes. Although the Denver was mentally exhausted from the season, I do believe their coaches deserve some of the blame in tonight's game, for sure, especially Vance Joseph. They've got to make adjustments. It was an ugly win against the third-string offense and defense. There were starters in there. It wasn't completely a third-string unit, but there's no doubt Denver played down to their competition tonight. Merry Christmas. We got our first win at Arrowhead since 2015. Chargers loss is huge this weekend. Yes, we will be streaming that game here on Broncos Syndicate. Good Lord, another troll. We will be streaming that game here on Broncos Syndicate on Saturday because that is a big game for the Broncos division win implications. Seems like no one likes Sean Payton, but he knows how to bring it. That's what matters at the end of the day, man. I'd rather be hated and winning than loved and losing. And we need to run that back with the Jags. I'd love to run it back with the Jags. I really would. Houston's offense is really not that good, in my opinion. If we get defense back together, I don't see it being too tough of a challenge. The way their defense is playing, though, man, you've got to respect that team for what it is, and that is a Super Bowl contender. They need a Malik Jackson-type player to help Allen. The pressure is not there. John Franklin Myers has fallen off the map these past few weeks, man. I've been really disappointed with John Franklin Myers. He hasn't gotten much pressure. Teams are running the ball right at him. They're probably going to let JFM walk this offseason, and understandably so. I would love to find an upgrade on the interior defensive line. Any word on JK for the playoffs? We already talked about this, but it is looking like JK is going to be good to go for the playoffs, which will be a massive boost for the Broncos. Losing Dobbins and Jones are major losses. Well, again, we should be getting Dobbins back. Jones, it's not looking so good. The 2015 Broncos didn't have any major injuries to key players. It's always about which team can stay the healthiest. Well, I mean, they did have a major injury to one key player, and that's Peyton Manning. They were able to rise above and get through it. So, honestly, the Broncos just need to find a way to manufacture a run game until J.K. Dobbins gets back. Defense needs to create turnovers. Relying on the D-line to get sacks isn't working anymore. Create turnovers. Big complaint, man, and something that needs to improve 100%. Also, it's always these last few weeks, players get injured and the playoffs go to crap. Unfortunately, the 49ers don't have a defense, but once you make the playoffs, it's all about how you perform. Exactly. Nobody's going to remember how you made it to the playoffs. All people are going to remember is what you did when you get there. All right, let's get rid of that guy once again because he just keeps making other accounts. All White looks sick tonight. Hope we see it again next year. Yeah, me too, man. Really, really nice look. I used to volunteer for Steam Ranger for 3 years. It's a heritage railway in Australia. Denver barely beat the third-string Chiefs. Again, not exactly third string. Good God, where are all these accounts coming from? How many accounts does this guy have? You got to respect his commitment to the cause, but my God, man. Yes, it is looking like we're going to get JK back, which is huge. Chargers getting that bye. Derwin is coming, and that defense is hungry. You guys got to win your next 2 games, so focus on the opponent ahead of you first. You got to beat a really, really tough Texans team. What you do when you got there, exactly. Yep, it's all about what you do when you get to the playoffs. To be honest, I didn't think we'd survive with Dobbins out than without Surtain. It's really showed the dog in us. It's true, man. This team does have that dog in them. Are there any other top coaches who also call offensive plays like Peyton? I don't think Andy Reid calls plays live during the game. So the Chiefs have a weird system where Reid will tell Matt Nagy, the offensive coordinator, what the play is. He'll tell him, okay, play number 157. and then Nagy will relay the play call to the quarterback in the huddle. So that's how that works. You've got Kevin O'Connell, Sean McVay. Those are ones that immediately come to mind there. So, yeah. Yeah, not exactly third string. There were some third string players in there, but it wasn't like the third string team that we saw in week 18 of last season when we beat up on them 40-0. Seriously, bro, it's like, do you really need attention that bad? Come on. Trolls off them, let them cook. Listen, we've got one rule here, and that's don't be an asshole. And this guy was taking it a little bit too far, so we had to get rid of him. Stop tripping our Broncos. Plug little kids. Vance Joseph needs some of the blame. He needs to get this defense prepared before the playoffs. We need to make a statement versus the Chargers. Agreed. People are forgetting we beat them earlier this season with Mahomes. Not only did we beat them, we dominated them. I don't know about that. The Raiders are trash. Absolute trash. Is Mims done as a wide receiver? I mean, it's pretty clear they're phasing him out of the game plan as a wide receiver. So I would say, yeah, probably. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wind down this post game and get some other content up on the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Be sure to smash that like button as well as subscribe and ring the bell so this content appears in your notification feed. I would really appreciate that. Those are both free and easy ways to show your support. And if you want to go above and beyond in supporting the channel, please consider becoming a supporter on Patreon. Not mandatory, but if you want some extra perks and incentives in exchange for helping me out and helping the channel grow, you can get access to this content ad-free. The link is in the description below. Again, guys, thank you so much. And until next time, I'm your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.